Switzerland. Here, everything looks as if it belongs on a postcard. Green hills, ringing waterfalls, cows grazing on Alpine meadows, and the most delicious cheeses known all over the world. And of course, the mountain peaks, the true calling card of this country. When you see all of this in person, it is hard to believe that such colors were created by nature itself. I am glad to see you on the Hollylolly channel, and as you have already guessed, today I will introduce you to the most beautiful, incredible, breathtaking, and undoubtedly very expensive country, Switzerland. This country is famous for its Alps, its banks trusted all over the world, and its impeccably precise watches. And friends, the air here, you inhale it and simply cannot breathe enough of it. To be honest, I was absolutely enchanted by this country. I am genuinely and deeply impressed, so I wanted to create a cozy video that would make you wrap yourselves in a warm blanket, take a cup of tea, and immerse yourselves with me into the atmosphere of this magical place. Do not forget to subscribe and give this video a like. Your support means a lot to me. What has always amazed me about Switzerland? This tiny country has somehow managed to remain neutral for centuries. It is not part of NATO, not part of the EU, and it last took part in military action back in the Napoleonic era, which means more than 200 years ago. At the same time, the country has 4 official languages: German, French, Italian, and even Romansh, a language many people hear about for the very first time here. Another fascinating fact is that the Swiss franc is one of the most stable currencies in the world. When we arrived in Switzerland, I was immediately overwhelmed by a sense of absolute silence and serenity. It felt as if I had found myself in the most peaceful corner of the planet. And this despite the fact that about 8 million people live here. But the atmosphere is truly magical. Among such picturesque views, every desire to hurry somewhere simply disappears. Instead, you want to sit down on one of the countless benches found at every step and spend hours just looking around, absorbing the beauty. Is this a sign of aging? Or does the country itself somehow tune you to a wave of harmony? Let us figure it out. So, we are already in Switzerland. We are slowly driving to our hotel in our tiny camper van. Honestly, this is the 3rd country we have visited in a week, and I feel as if we have been traveling for a month already. And one more thing I wanted to point out, it feels so unusual. We are used to traveling in our own car, but here, this camper van is 2 meters high, and not all parking lots are suitable for it. I mean the underground ones. When we drove into the garage in France, where we rented an apartment, the height limit was 2.05 meters. My husband and I literally ducked our heads and laughed as if that could somehow help the van fit through. We were terrified of hitting something. It is such a strange feeling. My husband said, "Good thing we didn't rent a big camper van, that would have been a real problem." And he was right, we thought. Wow, a camper van is so cool. But in reality, it is complicated to figure out where to leave it, what to do with it, which parking lots allow such height and which do not. And now we've crossed into Switzerland and bought a sticker. Here it is, so that we can use the toll roads. Another funny thing, when we were in Germany and driving to France, we stocked up on German groceries and brought them to France to try them there. Now we are heading to Switzerland, and we did the same thing, shopped in a French supermarket, and will be tasting everything in Switzerland. That is just how it always seems to happen. Thanks to the little fridge in the back, we can store all the perishable food there, and once we arrive and check into our place, we will take everything out. Anyway, wishing everyone a great mood. And you know what is the most interesting thing? Switzerland does not have an official capital. Yes, of course, everyone is used to considering Bern the main city, and the government does indeed sit there. But formally, in the documents, you will not find the line capital of Switzerland. It is just that 170 years ago, Bern was designated the political center, and it has remained in this role ever since. Another thing that always amazes me is the level of safety. This is one of the countries with the lowest crime rates in Europe. At the same time, the prisons here look more like modest 3-star hotels, though they are not empty. Nearly half of all crimes are committed by foreigners, about 45%. Let me now tell you about what I love most, nature. Imagine, there are 208 mountains in Switzerland higher than 3,000 meters. Add about 1,500 lakes to that, and you'll understand why Swiss landscapes look so cinematic. The largest lake is Lake Geneva, and there's an interesting legend connected to it. They say dozens of sunken ships rest at its bottom. Once, while passing through Switzerland, I saw an absolutely incredible lake. Lake Vierwaldstättersee, or as it's also known, Lake Lucerne. After that moment, I knew I definitely wanted to return to this country. So, when we were planning this trip, I immediately chose a hotel with a view of this lake to fulfill my long-standing dream. While walking near the lake, we saw public toilets. The toilets are free, which is definitely a plus. While traveling between countries, for example in Germany, I didn't come across free toilets. Maybe they exist, but I didn't see any. In France, we found one, but it wasn't very clean. So what will Switzerland show us? Is this the ladies? Yes, it's the ladies. Here, I'll show you. Oh, by the way, look, it's actually very clean. Let's go inside. A well-maintained free restroom. There's paper towels. You can wash your hands, I hope there's soap. And it's really quite clean, excellent. And just look at that stunning view. Switzerland greeted us with light rain, cool weather, and a cloudy sky. But even in such weather, it's beautiful. It turned out to be so cold that we had to buy winter clothes, and here's the rain again. We're taking shelter from it. The weather is so unpredictable here. I don't know, 5 minutes of pouring rain, then sunshine, then rain again. Just crazy. By the way, we were here for the first time 3 years ago. This lake, it was the first half of the day, and it was such a turquoise color, just like a picture. Now it's sunset around 6:30 p.m. and the color of the water isn't as bright, not as rich. Now I'll show you the place where we spent these couple of days. A little room tour. So we're in Switzerland, arrived a bit late. Here's one room I'll show you quickly. Here are the basic amenities. And here's the bathroom. I actually didn't notice it right away. And there are no doors, nothing, just a wardrobe and a passage into the next room. Well, conditionally speaking, to the children's room, and we've already managed to throw things everywhere. Okay, I wonder what view we have from the window. And so, I was just stunned, sorry. This is the gorgeous view from the window. Ah, the rain, how wonderful, wow. The next day we went for a walk around the lake. The weather was already sunny, but surprisingly, we were there at the height of summer, in July, and expected it to be hot. But when we arrived, the temperature was around 19-20 degrees, and we even got a little cold. After hot Japan, it felt very unusual to find ourselves in such a cool climate. We returned the next day in the first half of the day to see again how beautiful this lake is, truly turquoise. I don't know, like Photoshop, like a perfect picture. Meanwhile, the kids convinced their dad to unfold and set up the camper to see how it looks in the expanded form with the second level. Now, the kids will have fun there. We'll make a little stop. What can you do here, Sasha? He wants to put his toys up there. The first settlements around the lake appeared over 2,000 years ago. Cities grew on their sites, for example Lucerne, which gave the lake its second name, Lake Lucerne. Just look how beautiful it is. And the water here is crystal clear. Its area is about 113 square kilometers, and its depth in some places reaches 214 meters. If you look from above, you can see that Lake Vierwaldstättersee appears to be composed of 4 parts connected by narrow straits. 5 rivers flow through the lake, which is why the water is always fresh and amazingly blue. Today, Lake Lucerne plays an important role in the country's navigation. Blue water, emerald green forests around, snowy peaks of the Swiss Alps in the distance. Can such landscapes leave anyone indifferent? You look at this place, and it seems like a bright filter has been applied. But it's all real. This is probably the best view I have ever seen in my life. You couldn't look at it without tears. That's how incredibly beautiful this place is. And of course, I couldn't miss the chance to swim in the lake. In fact, it wasn't that easy. And not because there were no equipped beaches. Those are actually completely fine. There are several arranged swimming spots around the lake. The issue was the water temperature. You know, when you come out of that icy water, it literally feels like your skin is burning. Even though outside the temperature was quite cool, 19-20 degrees. It's not heat, not like Turkey in summer, I would say. But I had a small dream ever since I first saw this lake. I thought the water was so stunningly clean that I simply had to swim in it. And I did it. and after that the unheated pool, which I thought was very cold, suddenly felt warm after the lake. The water there felt pleasantly warm. The lake water is very clean, very invigorating, and overall amazing. It was a very quick swimming experience because it's nearly impossible to endure such cold water. By the way, walking around here you might notice how clean it is. Switzerland is considered one of the cleanest countries today, but it wasn't always like that. In the 1980 seconds, the country came close to an ecological disaster. Landfills were overflowing, rivers were drowning in waste, and the air was becoming unbearable. The small country had to find a solution, and as you can see, they did. The decision was made to sort waste. Since then, the sorting system has been perfected. They separate literally everything. Even a tea bag is disassembled into parts, paper into paper recycling, tea leaves into compost, the staple into metal. If someone tries to cheat and throw trash in the wrong place, the waste police will easily track them down, and the fines are huge. Today, dozens of recycling and waste incineration plants operate across the country. Moreover, Switzerland handles waste so efficiently that it even accepts garbage from neighboring countries, converting it into heat and energy for cities. And that's why now we see a country without landfills and litter, where cleanliness has become a part of culture. But in Switzerland, it's not only waste management that is well organized. Public facilities for residents and tourists are too. Yes, I'm talking about toilets. Forgive me, but while driving through Italy, I just couldn't resist filming this toilet. It's just, I don't know, there's this big barrel-like thing next to my hand. Very unusual. Friends, I still cannot tear myself away from the lake to show you all the beautiful corners of this place. I am completely overwhelmed by its beauty. You stand here, look around, and I genuinely have no words to describe these views. All you can do is exhale. Wow, this is all real. As soon as we arrived, it became almost impossible to follow any plan or itinerary. You drive just a couple of meters, and again you feel the urge to stop and take a picture of yet another stunning spot, to film every bit of beauty you see here. The colors are a kind of magic on their own. The grass is so green that it looks as if someone painted it by hand with bright pigments, and the water, it is transparent like glass, with shades from azure to turquoise. Your eyes simply refuse to believe that this exists in real life. Just look. All of this I filmed without a single filter. I saw it with my own eyes and could not believe that nature could be so vivid. If you want to truly experience Switzerland, then camping is the perfect option. There are more than 600 official campsites here, and many of them are located right by the lakes or on the slopes of the Alps. So we stopped so that the children could play on the playground, and I decided to walk around and see if there was anything interesting to show. My husband said, "There is a campsite over there. I probably will not go inside." And here is what the local cemetery looks like, though I suppose I shouldn't go there either. Very briefly, up in the mountains you can see snow. Ugh, it is cold, but unbelievably beautiful. I spotted a camping area. People are relaxing here and it looks wonderful. Nearby there is a building, which unfortunately seems to have burned down. Imagine waking up, unzipping your tent, and right in front of you a turquoise lake and mountains glowing in the morning sun. If that is not a dream, then what is? Campsites here have absolutely everything you need. Showers, kitchens, cabins, tent spaces, and some even have Wi-Fi. There are also parking areas for camper vans. I must say, traveling with a camper van is very convenient. There is plenty of space inside, a fridge for food, and the roof even lifts up. Just look at the color of the water, absolutely stunning, like something from a picture. While traveling through Switzerland, I repeatedly noticed road work. I realized that the Swiss take incredibly meticulous care of their roads to ensure driving is safe and comfortable even in the mountains. Repairs are often carried out only during specific hours, and everything is done as organized and calm as possible. Interestingly, Switzerland is considered to have some of the best road surfaces in Europe, and constant maintenance and regular updates allow the roads to withstand harsh winters and the steep Alpine routes. So these repairs are not an inconvenience at all, they are a guarantee that your trip will be smooth and safe. We stopped to grab a bite and just look at how appetizing everything looks. But you will never guess what this dish is. You won't believe it. It is a Caesar salad, and indeed it looks nothing like the version we are used to. By the way, there was a funny moment. We were walking through a supermarket and I noticed regular white eggs on the shelf, and right next to them bright, colorful eggs, like Easter eggs. Can you guess what the idea behind this assortment is? Write your guesses in the comments. I will give you a minute. So, I learned that the white eggs are raw and the colored ones are already boiled. This way, customers do not mix them up. And you know what? I have seen this not only in Switzerland but also in other European countries. After our snack, we continued exploring the country. Our next stop was the village of Ingenbol, such a cozy and picturesque place right on the shore of Lake Lucerne. It lies in the very heart of Switzerland, surrounded by mountains and forests, and it practically breathes tranquility. The area of the village is small, only 16.2 square kilometers. If you are looking for a place to escape the noise, enjoy nature, and feel the true atmosphere of a Swiss village, Ingenbol is perfect for that. And you know what? I could say a million times how beautiful it is here, and I will still say it again. The views are absolutely fairy tale-like, and the silence, the silence deserves a special mention. Here, people take personal space and peace very seriously. For example, on Sundays, even simple things like hanging laundry outside, mowing the lawn, or washing dishes are considered a disruption of the peaceful harmony of the weekend. And after 10 p.m., the quiet hour begins. You cannot slam doors, do repairs, or play loud music. No, of course, I agree that doing renovations at night is too much, but I was shocked when I learned that after 10 p.m., even draining water in the bathtub or toilet is considered unacceptable. Neighbors may even call the police if they hear unusual noises. Showers, laundry, washing dishes, all of this is strictly forbidden from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. These rules are explained to new residents immediately when they move into apartment buildings. And yes, the fines for violations are quite serious, but to be honest, after spending a few days here, you start to understand why the country is so quiet and peaceful. It is a true rest for the soul when everything around you is in harmony. To tell you the truth, I think the order and cleanliness in Switzerland did not appear by accident, largely thanks to very high fines. People simply do not want to pay huge amounts of money, so most follow the rules willingly. And sometimes this looks rather amusing. For example, even if you have only one guinea pig, mouse, hamster, ferret, fish or canary at home, you can be fined. Why, you ask? Because in Switzerland these animals are considered social and must live in pairs. Imagine even a little fish must have company. This attention to detail and the care for order are both surprising and amusing, and they explain perfectly why this country is so tidy and organized. While we traveled through Switzerland, we noticed that the weather changes incredibly fast. The sun comes out, and a couple of minutes later it can start pouring rain, and it suddenly gets very cold. But trust me, all of these moments are absolutely worth it because of the breathtaking views you get in return. Look at these tiny little frogs we found after the rain. They are truly miniature, but they are not the only creatures you can meet here. We also found a pasture with cows, donkeys and even sheep. Just listen to how atmospheric their bells sound as they walk. From what I have understood, people here really love animals. In one store we even found adorable chairs shaped like sheep. And right next to the ticket counter for the cable car to Aegis Rigi Kaltbad, there is a little wooden cow that children can actually sit on. The only rule, of course, is to keep an eye on your kids so that nothing happens. And here is this thing, a little grill with a spatula, and you can cook on it like on a tiny train with candles burning inside. What do you think? The Aegis Rigi Kaltbad cable car connects the small town of Aegis on Lake Vierwaldstätter Sea with the Rigi Kaltbad Resort, which is cozily located at almost 924 meters above sea level, while the summit of Rigi is 1,423 meters high. This cableway was opened back in 1968, yet it still works like clockwork. It is one of the fastest and most scenic ways to reach the Queen of the Mountains right from Lucerne. Imagine just 10 minutes and you are already at 1,450 meters with a panorama that literally takes your breath away. The cabins are spacious, holding up to 76 people, and in just 1 hour, the cable car can transport almost 640 guests. So even in peak season there are hardly any lines and you can simply enjoy the views in peace. And when you rise higher and look at the lake and the mountains, you realize that every moment here is worth it. The beauty is simply unbelievable. Now, let me check who among my viewers is the most attentive and has already counted how many times I said the word beauty in this video. Write your guesses in the comments. In Switzerland, I truly felt as if I were in a real fairy tale. Driving through this country, I noticed Alpine houses on stilts, the kind that look like little huts standing on chicken legs. They are found in high mountain villages and look incredibly picturesque. different balconies, flowers on the windows, wooden terraces. The stilts protect the house from snow and moisture, and at the same time create the illusion that the building is slightly hovering above the ground. Of course, when you talk about Switzerland, it is impossible not to mention the trains. They are a true symbol of the country. Their punctuality can genuinely be compared to Swiss watches. If the timetable says 11:02, the train will depart at 11:02 exactly. And they run constantly, on average, every 20 minutes, so you can travel from the smallest village in the west to a tiny town in the east without any problems. But there is one nuance.
There is a train in Switzerland for which tickets must be bought in advance. That is the Brienz-Rothorn Railway.
This is not just a train, it is a real icon of thrilling journeys. It has been operating since the end of the 19th century and is considered the last regular steam cogwheel railway in the country, meaning that they still run old steam locomotives heated by coal, just like 100 years ago.
The real magic is that this train climbs from the shore of Lake Brienz all the way up to the Rothorn, more than 2,000 meters high.
We traveled for 2 hours just to ride this train, but we were met by a very Japanese disappointment.
I have never encountered a place in Europe where you had to buy tickets in advance. We simply did not consider this, and it was very, very upsetting.
Despite that, I was amazed at how well thought out Swiss trains are. Many carriages have special family zones for passengers with children. Kids can play and make noise, while other travelers enjoy peace and quiet. Many trains have panoramic windows, a real feast for the eyes, especially when you pass lakes or valleys between the Alps. At the station you can also find paid restrooms. Everything is fully automated and convenient, and you do not need cash. I have often encountered situations in Europe where you must have coins to use the restroom. Here, no such issue. There is even a place to dispose of syringes. Surprising, but very practical. And of course, the most fascinating part is the cogwheel railways. They were invented specifically for mountain routes. Between the rails runs an extra toothed track, and the train literally grips onto it to climb steep slopes or descend carefully. Thanks to this technology, trains can reach places where ordinary transport simply could not go, for example to Rigi or Jungfrau. And it is thanks to these cogwheel systems that the trip becomes a real adventure as the carriage slowly climbs higher and higher, revealing alpine peaks and deep gorges. Naturally, all this pleasure is not cheap. Swiss trains are among the most expensive in the world. Imagine this: we decided to ride the legendary Glacier Express, the very panoramic train, also known as the window to the Swiss Alps. We go to the website, choose seats, pay, happily get ready for the trip. We arrive at the station with big smiles, sit in the train, and set off on our journey. And then, right during the ride, the conductor comes to check the tickets and says, "You know, you do not actually have tickets." Well, we always manage to get ourselves into some sort of unexpected trouble, not the pleasant kind, because we bought what we thought were tickets, but it turns out we paid for seat reservations. We thought, wow, what expensive tickets! But actually, no, those were just reservations, and although it literally said ticket, it was not one. They allowed us to buy the real tickets on board. Of course, the mood of the trip was a little spoiled. A similar thing happened to us in France a few years ago, where we were heavily fined. Let me explain why. I did not realize that we needed to keep the metro ticket. When we entered, the ticket was stamped by the machine. When we exited, the machine took it again. Once we passed through, I thought we were done, so I threw it away in a trash bin. But it turns out there was another turnstile at the exit. They asked, "Where are your tickets?" We said, "We passed the turnstile already," so we threw them away. And we were fined quite a lot. It was really sad. And something similar happened in Germany a few years ago, although, thankfully, they eventually forgave us. We bought tickets for the metro, but as soon as you enter the train, you have to validate them inside, like in a trolley bus. We did not know that. The inspector checked our tickets. We showed them, but they were not stamped. She made us validate them immediately and get off the train. It was crazy. So now I have a bit of a panic. I am always scared of using public transport abroad, because every country has its own rules. You Google, you read, and then still end up in unpleasant situations like these. Here, Look, the last carriage, a little platform where you can film out of the scenic window. And honestly, I am very grateful to the conductor who did not fine us. She explained that here the system is simple. Everyone shows 2 printed pages, one for the seat reservation and the other for the actual tickets. We planned our route so that we only needed to ride for 1 station, but in reality the train travels for about 8 hours from St. Moritz to Zermatt or the other way around, crossing all of Switzerland from east to west. During this journey, you pass 291 bridges, 91 tunnels, and climb to an altitude of more than 2,000 meters above sea level. And all of this through huge panoramic windows that make the carriage feel like a moving cinema. Mountains, gorges, rivers, tiny villages flash past outside, and you simply have no idea where to look first. We got off the train and decided to take a short walk around the area. It wasn't a tourist village, so everything was quiet and had a very cozy, special atmosphere. Here is a very, very rare sight, a children's playground. We found one and decided to show it to you as well. Look, there is a speed meter here. This car passed at 39 kilometers per hour. If another car comes, we'll see its speed too. Tourists almost never come here, and maybe that is precisely why the place felt so warm and soulful. Neat houses, picturesque views, and the most surprising detail, a small honesty stall.
From what I understood, they sell eggs here. You put your money in the box, just like in Japan, take a carton and pick up the eggs. Very lovely. I decided to take a look inside and show you.
Oh, there is cheese and other local products as well. How cool! I had only seen something like this in Japan before. After this walk, we got on the train again and headed back.
Swiss trains truly deserve a chapter of their own. Imagine, they even serve meals and drinks right on board, of course, for an additional fee. And everything is beautifully presented right at your seat.
It feels less like transport and more like a restaurant on rails, with an astonishing view. The soup was tasty, although a bit too salty. Well, I personally prefer lightly salted food, so I would say it is for those who enjoy a stronger flavor. Look what I found! Sasha, they even have a dedicated place for trash here. Overall, traveling by train in Switzerland is genuinely amazing.
But if you cannot get a ticket, do not worry, trust me. Traveling across Switzerland by car is an adventure of its own.
The huge advantage is that you can stop at any moment, step out, and enjoy the views for as long as you want. But I should warn you, this kind of travel also has a downside.
The roads here, although excellent in quality, twist like a snake, turns, endless serpentines, one curve after another.
And if someone has a weak vestibular system, the drive may feel like a real trial. That was exactly the case for me. Such beauty, but I felt so sick at this altitude. My head was pounding, but the view was absolutely incredible, breathtaking. And honestly, when you look around at these mountains, green meadows and lakes, you realize it is worth it. We decided to change our place of stay and checked into a new hotel, and now I will show you a little room tour. We finally arrived at the hotel, and the name made me laugh. No Stress by Eva. Well, I hope I truly will not stress here. Now we're checking whether our car will fit here.
The height limit is 1.93 meters.
Let me quickly show you our home for the next 3 days. Here is the bedroom, nothing particularly special. Here is a small kitchen area. By the way, there is no microwave to heat food, but no big deal. The kids will sleep over here. And what the children discovered was, ta-da! Kids, show what you found. Hi, is this your little secret hideout? And here is this magnificent view from the window. Though we drove here through a serpentine mountain road, my favorite, in quotes, so I'm not feeling great, but it is unbelievably beautiful. And the air is wonderful, truly amazing. If only I could send it to you somehow. By the way, I also wanted to show you an unpacking of the groceries we bought in different European countries.
Please excuse my appearance, I got soaked in the rain, so my hair is a mess. Here are the groceries and, of course, our tiny fridge. Now it'll be a whole quest for me to pack everything inside, but let me show you what we bought. So, we still have corn traveling with us, all the way from Germany, 2 packages.
Nice and simple, heat it up and enjoy. The sausages did not work out for us, we did not even try them, but we are still carrying them from Germany, through different cities, then into France, and now to Switzerland. Maybe they will finally get eaten here. Here is rice with vegetables and something like gyoza. Carrots and fruit, I guess, do not need much explanation. Anya picked these yogurts. There is a very big variety of ready-made meals here. This looks like schnitzel or something similar. I hope we can heat it up and have a tasty dinner. Cucumbers are sold individually this size. And here is a huge Milka bar that got a bit squished, unfortunately. Some candy, I don't know whether it is good or not, I just like the packaging, looks like Dubai chocolate, a few more sets of sweets. Anya grabbed drinkable yogurts, small M and M's packets, cherries, and cherry compote. Turns out I missed another bag, I thought we had more food. We also bought foie gras. We really wanted to try a truly French specialty. Not sure I'll like it, but we wanted to give it a try. And here are small fish fillets from the supermarket, very tasty. More ready-made meals, just make sure to check the ingredients for naturalness.
This one I messed up. I meant to buy pasta bolognese, but accidentally picked the wrong package.
And we also brought currywurst from Germany. We ate one pack, it was delicious. And we're still carrying the second pack for the kids, mini pancakes and something else. Still carrying these cutlets from Germany, frikadellen on the label. And my husband bought this little jar of herring, very fatty. I found another bag my husband also bought, different fish sets from a seafood shop, something tomato based, something with curry. We'll taste everything later and I'll let you know how it is. The next point on our journey was an incredible suspension bridge. Imagine a tiny Swiss village, mountains, silence, and suddenly, right in front of you, appears the Gom suspension bridge in Mühlebach. It connects two banks over the Rhone River and looks as if it is hanging right in the air. The most interesting thing is that it is not just a pretty attraction, it is part of a major tourist route. It was built in 2015, and since then it has become one of the main highlights of the Upper Valais region. It is about 280 meters long and roughly 92 meters above the river. So when you walk across it, the river roars far below, and all around you are mountainsides and forests. We climbed onto this bridge, and I immediately felt a bit seasick. The bridge sways and gently rocks you. You walk, and then you look down and realize what an incredible height and view it is. To be honest, at first it can feel a bit scary. After all, it is a suspension bridge, and it moves slightly under your feet, especially when other tourists walk on it too. But that is exactly what makes it exciting. You give your nerves a little tickle and then simply enjoy the scenery. And there is also a hidden little feature behind this bridge. It leads directly into the old village of Mühlebach, considered one of the oldest in Switzerland, with preserved wooden architecture.
The bridge is open all year round, and each season brings its own magic.
It is built with great care. The walkway is made from strong local larch, and the railings from steel cable that holds everything securely, even when your legs are shaking from the height. There are protective nets on the sides so no one can accidentally fall, making the walk truly safe. Switzerland is a true treasure for winter sports enthusiasts, as almost the entire country is covered with mountains. It was here back in the 19th century that alpine skiing was born. Today, Swiss resorts are known all over the world and are considered the gold standard of comfort and service. For example, Zermatt, located at the foot of the famous Matterhorn. The slopes here are impeccably maintained. The snow cover is smooth and stable, and the scenery around is simply unreal. The total length of the slopes is about 320 kilometers, and although Zermatt is considered an expensive resort, it certainly does not deter visitors. People come here all year round to enjoy the snow, the mountains, and the atmosphere of the Alps. And skiing is far from everything. Just a few kilometers from the slopes lies a true natural masterpiece, the Glacier Grotto. This is an amazing place where icy tunnels and crystal clear blocks of ice create the impression that you have stepped right into a fairy tale. That is exactly where we went. When I was heading toward the Rhone Glacier, I must say the road itself was already a little adventure. First, narrow mountain serpentines, and then one of the most scenic passes in Switzerland, the Furka Pass, 2,431 meters above sea level. In summer, you can drive here by car in about 2 hours from Lucerne or Interlaken. The glacier itself is a true symbol of the Alps. Back in the 19th century, it was considered one of the most accessible and beautiful glaciers in Europe. Tourists began coming here more than 150 years ago, and the peak of popularity came at the end of the 19th and beginning of the 20th century, when the road was built across the pass and the legendary Belvedere Hotel was opened. Only 10,000 years ago, the glacier covered almost the whole of Switzerland, and as recently as the 1,850 seconds, its tongue descended right into the valley and reached the village of Glech. Today, its length is about 10 kilometers, and each year it is melting rapidly. Since the late 19th century, it has receded by more than 370 meters. To at least slow this process down, environmentalists cover the glacier each summer with huge white sheets. Several kilometers of special fabric reflect sunlight and protect the ice from fast melting. It looks a bit surreal, as if the glacier has been wrapped in a gigantic blanket. But the most amazing thing is that you can actually go inside the glacier.
We are going down, walking into the glacier, and it feels like a freezer, cold air blowing right at you.
The children's ticket is €7, euros for ages 5 to 15 or 16, and the adult ticket is 15 euros if I remember correctly. For more than 100 years, an ice cave about 100 meters long has been carved here every season. The passage is recreated annually because the ice is always shifting and alive. Inside, everything glows with a radiant blue light, air is cold, and you feel as if you have stepped into the heart of an iceberg. By the way, the Rhone Glacier is the birthplace of the Rhone River, which flows through Lake Geneva, then through France, and finally into the Mediterranean Sea. So the water you see here as snow blue ice eventually reaches the Gulf of Lyon. Here, I finally reached the point where you can actually touch the ice. Real ice. It is incredibly cold, especially in summer, when you naturally want to warm up in the sun. I expected the tunnel to go on, but in fact, that was it, the end of the path. Still, the experience is absolutely worth it. All this beauty is just wow. As for the glacier itself, I have seen photos, stunning pictures, especially in winter and the cold season, when there is no fabric covering to protect the ice. The shots are completely different than, much more beautiful. Now in summer everything is melting, so the exterior is not as impressive, but the view from here is simply magnificent. And here is another fascinating detail. The canton of Valais, where the Rhone Glacier is located, holds more than half of all Swiss glaciers and is considered the main water vault of Europe. It is the largest natural reservoir of fresh water on the continent, and just a few minutes walk from the old Belvedere Hotel lies Lake Glaciers. It sits right at the foot of the Rhone Glacier. This is a small but very picturesque glacial lake formed from the meltwater of the glacier itself. Interestingly, the lake changes every year. It all depends on how much ice has melted. Sometimes it is tiny and shallow, and other times it becomes quite a sizable body of water. The water is so clean and cold that even in summer the temperature rarely rises above 5-6 degrees. Oh friends, stay in shape. By the time I reached the top, I had already taken off my jacket and was ready to walk in just a t-shirt. It is not an easy climb. Next to the Rhone Glacier, near the Belvedere Hotel, there are small souvenir shops. They appeared back in the 19th century when masses of tourists started coming here. They are nothing like noisy market stalls, rather they are cozy little shops where each item feels like it holds a piece of the Alps. On the shelves, postcards with views of the glacier almost the same as those sold here a century ago, figurines of cows and goats carved by hand, herbal teas from Alpine meadows, and even local cheese, the true taste of these places. And so our journey through Switzerland has come to an end, and I can confidently say that it was simply unforgettable. This country amazes you at every step. Everything is intertwined here. The grandeur of mountain peaks and the silence of tiny villages, the roar of waterfalls and the calm of mirror-like lakes, modern trains that run with second-perfect precision. We saw suspension bridges, walked through the icy corridors of the Rhone Glacier where time seems to stand still. We visited tiny shops where every postcard carries the breath of the Alps, and all of this against the backdrop of Switzerland's remarkable harmony in nature, in culture, in everyday life. Here, even order does not feel like a strict rule, but rather a way of preserving the beauty around you. Perhaps that is why Switzerland feels like such a cozy, almost fairy tale world that you want to return to again and again. Many more routes lie ahead, but the impressions of this country will stay with us forever. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like the video, leave your comments, and tell us what impressed you the most about Switzerland. Bye bye!